now she's dead, naked in the bush. How does that make you feel, Frank? And then he responded, happy. It made me feel happy. But then he jumps up and says, wait, this is a bunch of bullshit. I didn't do nothing. Welcome to Talk Murder to Me.
So, our hints for tonight's episode, John gave us 2. He was feeling generous tonight. Hypnosis.
Hypnosis. It's different.
Hypnosis and BB guns.
Do you know what a BB gun is?
You'll shoot your eye out.
Can't like kids like shoot squirrels with it and stuff?
I want a Red Ryder BB gun. Right? Like from A Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll shoot your eye out.
So, based on our hints for this evening, we are drinking the BB gun, which is tequila, vodka, Sambuca, but we didn't have Sambuca, so we went with Cointreau. About the same, right? And some sour mix and lime juice. And it's kind of awful. I don't like it. I mean, I don't have all of my taste buds. Sorry, tacos. I've got a little bit of a cold.
Oh. It almost tastes like a margarita. I'm down with it.
Plus side is I can't really taste it, so, you know,
It tastes like a drink you would get at a dive bar. You know, when you're
I think it's the orange I don't like.
I think that we have determined that we do not like orange citrus drinks.
I do sometimes, though. Like, it depends. Like, I like lime margaritas.
Well, but orange.
Yeah. I mean, I like orange juice-based drinks, but orange liquor, yes. Orange-flavored liquor.
Yes, agreed.
Because isn't that what blue curacao is? Like
it's
a little
gross. I don't like it.
That was just a weird flavor.
If you like blue curacao, come at me and explain why it's good.
Plus, I just don't like things that stain my teeth, you know.
You know what? I got some
self-conscious
charcoal powder toothpaste.
Ooh, I was actually just going to buy some.
You want to use some?
Yes.
How do you like it?
It's weird.
Can I use one?
Yeah. I mean, it's like in a powder. I can pour some out and you guys can have some.
No.
It's literally in my Amazon cart.
Well, don't
I've been
buy
wanting
it.
to try
You can
it.
use some of mine.
Well, we're kind of low on toothpaste. But do you replace it, or is it every once in a while?
Every once in a while you use it. Well, what kind of toothpaste do you use? I can get some at BJ's.
It depends. I like the ones that don't come in a total tube. The ones that come in like it's almost like a little plastic square container, so that way you don't have to deal with the rolling of the tube. I hate doing that.
Yeah,
I really hate
only
that.
sell tubes.
We do have some wonderful Taco Supremos who have joined us that we would like to shout out. Quite a few. We've got Michael and Jen.
Woo!
And we have
Alicia
and Jonathan.
Thanks, guys, for joining. We're really excited to have you on board.
Yes. So the shirts are on the way. If you want to be a Taco Supremo and join our exclusive online community, get the exclusive Taco Supremo shirts and a couple of different types of stickers, go to talkmurder.com/join.
Also, fun fact for today, today in 1998 was or was it 7? Or was it 9? Anyway, today is the anniversary of the last episode of Seinfeld. So happy anniversary, Seinfeld. Surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, bitches.
Why do I feel like we're really dysfunctional tonight?
Oh, that's smooth.
Refreshing.
That's really good, actually.
Jameson, is that my Black Barrel?
And Nicole is
Nope.
throwing up in a bucket right now.
What is
I'm the one who picked it.
What is it?
It's that peach mint Darius Rucker one.
Oh, yeah, that one's good.
Ugh.
Oh, also today, or was it yesterday, that was Darius Rucker's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Darius Rucker. We saw you in Lowe's. I didn't want to say anything because I had some large wood, but not for you, but I was carrying wood out. It was Lowe's. What, Jen?
Anyway, so Another announcement that they're filming a Netflix show in Shem Creek.
Mm-hmm.
It's called OBX, Outer Banks.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes.
That's the name of a railroad company, OBX.
Oh. Well, apparently it's about teenagers who, there's this huge power outage and they can't use their cell phones or social media or something. It's supposed to be a thriller or something, I think.
Oh, God.
Wow.
The world's going to go to shit.
To think, only 15 years ago, that was reality.
So where are we going and who are we killing? Jen.
I think that we're going to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, and that someone is going to a hypnotist show, and then they're hypnotized, and they shoot someone with a BB gun, but the BB gun gets lodged in the other person's brain or something.
I think we're going to New Jersey this evening. Because I'm going with the Atlantic City thing instead.
Ooh, I've never been to Atlantic City.
Me neither. And I think the murderer has a history of torturing animals at a young age. We know that's one of our signs of a serial killer. So I think he's shooting BB guns at little chipmunks and squirrels as a kid. And I think he attempts to hypnotize his victims before he kills them.
Ooh, interesting thought. You know what I think of when I think of BB guns? Bart Simpson and his slingshot.
Yeah. Eat my shorts.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Eat my shorts. No.
Yeah.
You know the guy that does Bart Simpson is a girl?
Yeah, she also voices Tommy Pickles on Rugrats.
Anyway, all right. So we are going to Hilton.
Head?
No. But I do want to say,
Like Paris Hilton?
I do want to say thank you for everyone that's been emailing me and showing me support. I am on my last week, and then next week, so this will be the last episode of this crazy schedule. I know I haven't been putting them out on Taco
Yay.
Tuesday. Next week is starting
Fresh.
the fresh schedule, 2 a week, 1 Taco Tuesday, 1 Thursday, Supremo. If you want a story, then you better go to talkmurder.com/join and become a member, because I'm going to be rattling these stories out like nobody's business.
That's right. We just got 4 new Taco Supremos this week, so we've got some work cut out. There's going to be lots of requests.
We're in Hilton tonight. Hilton, New York is small blue-collar farm town on the edge of Ontario.
Oh, up
west
by
of-
Canada.
West of Rochester. Now, we have a Taco Supremo from Rochester.
We do.
Around that area.
Great.
Grace from New York. This is your story, and thanks for calling in.
Grace.
Hey, John, Nicole, and Jen. This is Grace from New York. I know you guys are doing my hometown today, I guess.
So I hope you enjoy this episode. There's basically 2 stories in this one story. It's the little, what do you call those things at Burger King? Double Whoppers.
Whopper.
No, not Whopper. Just double Whoppers, right?
A double cheeseburger?
No, not double cheeseburgers. Double something.
Double whammy?
No, not double whammy.
I know
You
what
ever
I
ate a
was-
Burger King?
Whammy.
What's the thing at Burger King with the double patties?
Whopper.
McDouble.
That's McDonald's, but okay.
Well, yeah, McDouble. Maybe it's not McDouble. It's something. It's going to drive me crazy. What is I talking about?
She drives me crazy.
Whoppers.
Anyway, all right. November 29th, 1988 in Hilton, New York. Now, Hilton is a blue-collar farm town on the edge of Ontario. Do you guys know what Kodak is?
Kodak camera?
Yeah. A lot of people in Hilton, New York work or had worked in the 80s at the Kodak factory on the
Okay.
assembly
okay.
machine. I don't think Kodak is...
Yeah, it is.
I don't think they're in business anymore.
Yes, they are.
That's Canon.
No, they are. Kodak?
Kodak?
Yeah, because CVS has the Kodak machines where you can print your pictures.
The town is also a very large apple growing community. So it's a very small town, even though it's in New York. It's one of those outskirt towns. And a lot of apples. And one of the biggest crimes in Hilton, to give you an idea of the crime rate, is of kids stealing apples.
Really?
Nothing ever happens here.
like in Aladdin.
It's a small town. I'm talking about a couple thousand people. Everyone knows everyone. They definitely knew both the victims in this story. And in fact, Grace, she'll tell us later, like the community, how bonded they were to this story when it happened. Everyone volunteered. They printed over 1 million flyers for this story.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, all right. November 29th, 1988, a local hunter. It's always a hunter. Always a hunter.
Yeah, there have been a lot recently.
Well, maybe because people are dumping bodies in like the
Yes.
isolated areas.
Yeah.
A local hunter was walking along, and there's an abandoned railroad track that goes through Hilton. He was walking down the tracks. This was late in the afternoon, and he came across a body. Wow.
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know we were
Okay.
supposed to guess.
We've all done this so many times.
Well, yeah, nothing shocks us.
Yeah. The victim of the story is Viola Manfield. Now, the difference about Viola, okay, you hear that name, what do you think of?
She's the man.
Viola Davis.
Oh, man, what
Violin. Viola is also an instrument.
but you think, what age range?
Older.
Yeah, so
It's an older name.
Viola Manville is a 74-year-old grandmother.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on.
What? Come on.
Race.
Gary Craig, a journalist from the Democrat and Chronicle, described Manville as, quote, vivacious and a charming woman full of energy.
She sounds like a spicy grandma.
She is very spicy. She's like, you know that, have you ever seen Grandma's Boy?
No.
No.
That's a good movie.
She sounds like she would be like Betty White in The Proposal.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's her.
She's great in that movie.
I love Betty White.
Well, she's
Yeah.
dead now, right?
No.
She's not. She's alive.
Although Doris,
no, she
Fake news.
died.
No,
no,
she
she did
didn't.
not die.
She's alive.
Doris Day passed away the other day, but Betty White is still alive.
I'm sorry,
and kicking.
Betty, if you listen to this.
My favorite is when she's in the Snickers commercial.
I love when she's in The Proposal doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Viola was very well known around town and loved by everyone.
Also, her prank show with the old people.
Now, when Monroe County Sheriff Office, they arrive at the scene. So they're on these abandoned railroad tracks. There's like weeds growing up everywhere. It's in the middle of the freaking day, right?
Right.
They're walking on these abandoned, they're literally having to put, I mean, because this is not like railroad tracks like, you know, Bill Clinton throwing people on railroad tracks. These are all grown over. So they're pushing off weeds and stuff, and they look over to where the hunter directs them, and they see this 74-year-old grandmother. The Monroe County Sheriff Office, the detectives there, were so shocked by the gruesomeness of this murder. It was unbelievable, the condition of the victim. Unbelievable.
Oh, no.
Awful, awful, awful.
Oh, dear.
Her pants were off.
Oh, no.
She was naked from the waist down, and her clothes was thrown into a bush. She was literally thrown into a bush as well. And keep in mind, she's 74.
Yeah.
Okay?
Honestly, why do people commit these crimes against
Period.
anyone, but like especially the elderly and children? We don't have time for me to go on my soapbox, but I'm just gonna say it's just terrible, terrible, terrible.
Another thing, this happened in the morning. Okay? Because the body was found kind of in the late afternoon. So then it's like a morning thing. It's really weird. Okay, now, and also because all the neighbors that the police interviewed, which all loved Viola, I mean, the whole town loves Viola, they claimed that her ritual was to walk the same abandoned railroad. You know how old people, if we got any older listeners, I'm not making fun of you, but they have a routine. They'll walk all the time. The same, you'll always see them at the same time, walking the same place in the park or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? So she always walked at 9 a.m. in the morning on those abandoned railroad tracks. Like nothing changes. Saturday to Monday or Saturday to Sunday. What is it?
Yeah.
Whatever. The whole 7
Sunday
days
to
a week,
Saturday.
365 days a year, 24/7. She
No, that's a lot of walking. And I will walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500.
She's 365 days a year. She walked every morning at 9 a.m.
Even in the snow?
And she would neighbors also claimed that she never walked in the afternoon. Like her routine
That
was
was at
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
She was walking at 9 a.m. They know that she was murdered around 9 a.m. Okay, I just want to plant that into you guys. Now, the actual coroner, or excuse me, the medical examiner could only claim for a sure certainty that she was killed within a 20-hour window of when the body was found. The body was found at 4:30 p.m. Okay. So a 20-hour window, it could have been midnight, you know what I'm saying? But if you listen to the neighbors, she was walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
she
was
was
her route.
What's that?
And that was her route.
Yeah.
Like she was found out where she would walk.
Exactly. And I didn't see pictures, but the way it was described in several newspapers, she was beaten very badly in her face with a blunt object, which later turned out to be the murder weapon was actually a part of a railroad tie.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she was beaten to death. Her pants were stripped off, clothes tossed into the bushes. She was also shot twice in the face.
Oh, dear.
With a BB gun, which is just cruel and unusual. Because, I mean, a BB gun probably won't kill you if you get shot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was just kind of like
I wonder if they shot her first to kind of like stun her, you know, like this to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I thought that too.
Was she sexually assaulted?
That never came out in the news, and I want to say yes, but I can't because the killer that was caught claimed that he removed her pants so she could decompose faster. You know, but why wouldn't he remove her top too?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to say that she was, but I don't want you to think that she was, even though it is, in my mind, is very likely because that's why her pants were off. Mm-hmm. And that's not something the police probably wanted to get out because she's a 74-year-old grandmother. Right. They you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I have no idea. That was never publicly known. But
to play devil's advocate, though, like, why wouldn't they? I mean, they should release that, even as tragic and, you know, demoralizing as it is. It's, you know, the family does have a right to that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she wasn't though. I don't know, but the killer did confess that he did it for decomposition reasons, which doesn't make any sense because why would you only take the pants off? It doesn't really make sense. All right, so who the hell would do this? Now, this case is going to be a little different, so I'm going to give you two suspects. One of them is the killer, okay? This case is kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to give you two. The police had two suspects, and they knew without a doubt that one of these guys... And these guys did not know each other, but one of these people killed Viola Manville, that 74-year-old beloved, vivacious grandmother on those railroad tracks that morning. Okay, one of these two people. So I'm going to go over these two people.
All right.
All right, the first one we have is a 16-year-old local bully, delinquent.
Whoa.
Right.
Quite the contrast.
Well, the rumor mill was going around saying that he committed the crime. Now, I do want to point out for some reason, many local teens claim that they killed this woman. I don't know. It's like a bragging right. I have no fucking clue.
Well, these kids are idiots. Like, why would you want to brag about that?
Yeah,
Who
you
knows?
ruin your life doing that.
Street cred? You don't get street cred for murdering an elderly person. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Yeah, you see that granny? Yeah. I caught her body.
Jen's been watching The Wire.
I have not. I'm just trying to catch up with the lingo.
Yeah, I think you should have a lingo class before you watch The Wire. Because I had to look up some stuff.
She got.
She got.
I don't like that. She been had. I like that.
What was another one
that
was...
my own language.
Anyway. All right, so this kid... He was in and out of troubled teen homes. He was a bully. Everyone hated this kid. And he was bragging about this murder for some reason, okay? He said he skipped first period and then he killed her, and then he went on his merry way to school. All right. He also tortured animals. So there's one of the McDonald triad for you. Yeah. And earmuffs Julie because he would actually blow up cats with firecrackers.
And Grace. Grace is a big cat person, too.
Oh, Grace. I'm sorry.
Yeah, lots of people.
All right, well...
So, was he doing... But nothing to do with the animal cruelty with the BB guns. He just shot...
I know, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he's doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you're blowing up cats, I'm sure you're doing all kinds of shit with BB guns. I mean... Yeah, he probably shot
terrible.
1 million cats.
But
with BB
you know,
guns.
there is a card game called Exploding Kittens.
Like, I can only say he blew up cats. I couldn't find anywhere that said, oh, he also shot... I'm pretty sure he shot a lot of cats. Well, what are you saying, Jen?
There's a card game called Exploding Kittens.
I'm sure it's fun.
It's okay.
Yeah. All right, so this kid's name was Mark Christie. Christie, Christie. Mark
Like
Christie.
Chris Christie?
Who is that?
He's a governor of New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if there's any relation.
Maybe. So he told fellow teens that he shot Manville twice in the head and then beat her face until she was, quote, unrecognizable, which was actually consistent with the state that she was in. He had a somewhat alibi. The detectives came. They didn't interview him specifically, but they interviewed to see if he was at school that morning. And the school guard said, yes, he was at school in the morning at 9 a.m. Okay? He saw him there. That's what the school guard said. The police moved on after that. All right, so...
Wait, how old did you say that guy?
He was 16 years old.
Both of them were.
No, just this one.
Oh.
What do you mean? I haven't got to the second one.
Oh.
Are you listening?
It's interesting
I
that...
thought you said I thought you were on to the second one. Okay.
I think it's interesting that he's bragging about killing this lady. Did he confess to police about killing him, and then or was it he was confessing to his friends saying he did it, and then
the friends went to the police, yeah.
But then when the police questioned him, did he say no, I didn't do it?
Yeah.
Well, that's just stupid.
All right, the next guy, Frank Sterling. All right, now 3 years prior to this incident on the railroad tracks, Viola Manfield was actually walking on the same exact railroad tracks about the same spot. And a guy named Glenn Sterling, which is the brother, the suspect number 2 is Frank Sterling.
Yeah.
Remember
Okay.
that. But his brother, Glenn Sterling, saw her on the tracks and attempted to rape her
Oh.
3 years prior.
Interesting.
All right.
Huh.
So in roughly the same spot. Now it was an attempted sexual assault. He actually pled guilty, and it wasn't Glenn Sterling because he's still in prison at the time
Okay.
Viola Manfield is dead.
Wow.
Okay, do you see what I'm
That's
saying?
quite the twist.
But there's a motive there because now his younger brother, Frank Sterling, kind of has a motive because you put my brother in prison. Does that make sense? All right. Now,
And it would make sense if it was him, and I'm sorry, excuse me, if it was Frank Sterling, which we don't know yet. It would make sense if he did sexually assault her because it's like, well, you put my brother in prison for this, so I'm going to kill you, but also accomplish what he did not accomplish.
Or it could be that they both have similar fetishes, if you will, of assault.
all right. This is Mark Christie. Can you guys comment about what he looks like, please? That's his high school picture.
Oh, he looks like
Someone did Dawson Creek guy or something? No.
A little.
like
It's that hair. Look at the hair. That's such a 90s.
Parted.
I don't know what it is about his picture. I know he doesn't look like these characters, but he reminds me of the O'Doyles from Billy Madison.
What
like-
O'Doyle's?
O'Doyle's rule! Like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like he just looks like a punk. Like he has a mullet.
I thought you were going to say O'Poyles from Always Sunny.
Oh, gosh.
No.
I mean, he looks kind of jockish, actually. So he's not the type of person that I would think would be bragging about killing an elderly person.
He has a mullet. Which reminds me, like,
All right, this is Frank Sterling. Tell us what Frank Sterling looks like.
oh, he's creepy.
Yeah, like a fucking creepy murderer, possibly rapist.
Wow. So he's kind of wispy, got big glasses.
Yeah, super
A
big.
porn
like,
stash.
Coke
Ron
bottle
Jeremy.
glasses.
A thinner Ron Jeremy.
Bob Berdella.
Receding
Yes.
hairline. Yeah, he looks like Bob Berdella. He
Yeah.
looks a lot like Bob Berdella.
All right. So let's see who did it. Let me see.
And I realize we're profiling, but I don't care.
Hey, it's not our fault that you look like that.
Frank Sterling was a loner. He has numerous social anxiety problems. Like he didn't want to talk to anyone, didn't want to leave the house. Plus, his brother Glenn is a sexual predator. I mean, he's on a sexual registry list.
So you're going to tell us that he didn't do it.
No, but I'm saying, so if your brother is on that list and you're in a very small town when everyone knows everyone,
You're embarrassed by it.
you're embarrassed. Not only that, but people think you're like that as well.
Right.
I mean, so that's what he was dealing with that. Now, Don Thompson, which was a defense lawyer that comes into this case, says, quote, Frank Sterling was a loner, not well socialized, eager to please. One of his names in high school was Bug Chow, because if you gave him $1, he would eat a bug.
Ew.
That's like at camp.
I would only do that for more money than $1.
I wouldn't do
I
it.
would do it at least $2.
No, you'd have to pay me at least $30.
$30?
Yeah.
It's a bug.
Yeah, exactly. The
You
bug.
eat at least 4 bugs a year when
Not
you're
knowingly.
sleeping.
Not knowingly. Also, in camp, we had this juice. They called it bug juice. And there was a Disney Channel series called Bug
Yeah.
Juice.
Now, both of his parents were janitors. I don't know why that matters, but he was actually living at home when this murder happened. He was 25 years old.
He was only 25 in that photo.
Yeah.
He looks like he was like 47.
Wow, I'm sure he
He
appreciates
did
that.
not age well.
Oh, yeah.
Frank also lived 100 yards away from the crime scene. He also had a motive for a crime because she put his brother in prison. And in fact, Frank Sterling hated Viola Manville.
Oh.
Hated with a passion. I hate this woman. Hated her.
He said that?
Yes, he said that.
Because of what?
And I'll show you why he said that.
Okay.
All right. But here's the thing. Frank Sterling was the school bus driver. And when detectives looked at the time cards, apparently he was working. He was driving the bus.
Or was he?
You see what I'm saying? So he was driving the bus during the time, from what the time card said.
Yeah, but you're also, you have a mobile job. You can punch your time card, drop the kids off at school, take a detour, kill this lady, and then punch your time card back off. You know what I mean? Like, it's not out of the
All right.
question.
There are no physical evidence linking either suspect to the crime. But they know, well, they didn't know at the time, but I know, and I can tell you that it's one of these two people. One of these people killed her. All right. Now, Frank had an alibi, sort of, after. So apparently he was at school driving the bus until 1:30. So the detectives were, because you can't say that she didn't have an afternoon walk. No one knows that for sure. And they don't know. You remember the coroner said the body was dead within 20-hour window. So they didn't know when she died.
So his alibi of the 9 a.m. thing didn't necessarily matter.
I'm not saying that, but at one, they were like, well, what'd you do after you got homework? Well, I went home and I watched cartoons.
Where no one can validate that I was doing
No,
that.
he kind of did. He watched the Smurfs and the Chipmunks, and he told detectives the exact time they came on and the plots of each episode, which was a big thing because they didn't have Netflix back then. So it was like, think about
They could
a series
cross-reference
with
that.
200 episodes. If you know what the episode's about, obviously you probably watched it.
And they could have checked what
They
if
did
that
check. They went
matched.
to the TV stations and they checked.
And it matched.
And it counted. It matched. Then he said, I then started to bake a cake. I feel like he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't eat real food. He just eats cake. He starts to bake cake, but when he took the cake out of the oven, he realized he didn't have frosting. So he went to the grocery store, little Piggly Wiggly down the street, and he bought rainbow frosting. And he told the detectives, I bought rainbow frosting because they were out of maple frosting. So the detectives went to the grocery store and verified they were out of maple frosting. This is important. Why are you guys looking at me like that?
Maple frosting.
That's what I
I've
was-
never
that's what-
heard of that.
I know.
That's what we were looking at you for. like
Sounds
maple frosting.
gross.
It does.
It's like a maple
Ew.
donut. It's like a maple donut.
But then
It doesn't
again,
have-
he's Rochester, where he's at is right
Maple
by
syrup.
Canada.
Maple
So, man,
syrup.
I'm sure they get all kinds of maple shit.
Now, rainbow frosting, was it the vanilla frosting with rainbow chips, or was it multicolored frosting?
I think it was multicolored frosting.
Can someone from the 80s please tell us? Because I wasn't even alive.
Someone
and I'd
living
like-
still in the 80s.
I would like to experience rainbow
All
frosting.
right.
You know what cake I love?
What?
Guess.
Funfetti cake.
Yep, that's right. We used to make the funfetti in the ice cream cones. Like we would put the cake in the ice, like cupcakes, but you put them in ice cream cones and you frost them. They look like little ice cream cones. They were so good. Man, I love me some funfetti cake.
July 10th, 1991. Now, we're going 3 years. We're fast forwarding 3 years. They haven't arrested anyone. The cops are getting a lot of shit for this case because no one in the town feels safe yet because there's still a murderer on the loose. But they couldn't solve this crime because the two people that they had, that they thought could do this, both had pretty solid alibis. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So 3 years pass. Frank, he quit doing the school bus job and he started working as a truck driver. Now he would drive these big rigs all across the county and state lines. I mean, he would drive all day. In fact, on July 10th, 1991 at 6 p.m. when he got off his shift and he pulled up into his trailer home. Nothing wrong with trailer homes. We all come from humble beginnings here. When he pulled into his trailer home, he just got off a 36-hour shift of driving a truck. He's tired as hell. And this date matters because the local police, who has been questioning him for the last 3 years, they actually questioned him 3 or 4 times about this, trying to get him to confess or whatever. They were at his home waiting for him. All right. And they came out. This new young detective is on the case. His name is Patrick Crow. All confident guy. I'm going to solve this case red-handed or whatever. So he gets out of the car and he says, hey, Frank, would you mind coming down to the station because we're re-interviewing people on the case and we're looking through the files and for some reason you didn't take a polygraph test. And he's like, okay, sure, I'll come down there. At 7 p.m., Mark Sennett, which was the polygraph technician, comes into the little interrogation room or whatever, starts to strap up old Frankie boy all these electrodes and stuff and tells him about the polygraph test and all that stuff. Now, the cops are under extreme pressure to get a confession somewhere. The polygraph technician, Sennett, spends nearly 2 hours accusing Frank of being guilty, telling him he wanted to avenge his brother, lying to him, saying stuff like, your brother in prison told all the inmates that you avenged him by killing Viola Manfield. He said that, even though he didn't say that, they were lying to him, trying to get a confession.
Right.
All right. Which they can do that. It's legal, apparently. It's kind of fucked up, but it's still legal.
I'm surprised because I thought, you're only supposed to ask yes or no questions for polygraph, right?
No, I mean, that wasn't a question. It was like, your brother said this, you're guilty. They were
Kinda egging
priming him
him
for
on.
hours about this stuff. They also said, we found your DNA at the scene. You just need to confess. Anyway, he didn't. Mark Sennett also asked Frank Sterling where Viola was shot with the BB gun while he's being hooked up to the polygraph test. And he'd be like, where was she shot at? I just want to know. Was it the foot? Was it the hand? Was it the face? Was it the body? All this stuff. Now, the polygraph didn't move at all. Okay? So it wasn't like a yes or no question, but anyone that the actual murderer or whatever, the needle would have jumped. In fact, Frank kept passing all the polygraph tests.
But
All the polygraph tests.
why would they? I mean, I know it's 3 hour. I know it's 3 years later, but wouldn't that information as to where she was shot have been released to the public when they talked about the story?
Yeah, it was
initially?
released, yeah.
So wouldn't anyone know that?
Everyone probably knew that.
So why would they bother asking that question?
Because these cops really wanted to get a confession. Frank Sterling then said, quote, "I didn't kill her, but I sure as hell could have." He hated her. Hated that woman. Now, midnight approaches. Now, remember, he gets picked up at 6 p.m. Now it's 6 hours later. He just got off a 36-hour truck driving binge, and now he's been sitting in a little box for 6 hours, and they've been playing mind games with him. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, the polygraph technician comes back in. The detectives are in there, and he's like, "Frank." Now, they're being real nice to him, rubbing his back. "Frank, it's been a long night, and we kind of all want to go home. Let's try a little, quote, relaxation technique." Now, the reason I said quote is because that exact words come into play.
They hypnotized
in
him.
the courtroom. All
Wow.
right. Hey, Frankie boy, let's try a little relaxation technique. Frank is still hooked up to the polygraph machine. The detectives tell him to lay on the floor, which is very unusual, never happens, prop his feet up on the chair, and they're like, "All right, Frank, take a couple deep breaths. In and out, just relax. Everyone relax, He's on the floor with the polygraph machine hooked up to him, right? It's fucking crazy. So he was told to take 4 big, deep breaths, and right then the polygraph technician slides over his chair closer to Frank, and he holds his hand. And it's like, "I'm here with you, man. Let's try to solve this together." He says, "Picture yourself running happily on these abandoned railroad tracks. It's sunny. There's daisies everywhere, and you're laughing. I'm having so much fun. The sun is shining."
Like in Happy Gilmore, your happy place.
He's skipping along.
Like, that scene in Happy Gilmore where there's like...
Yeah.
With like the midget. Excuse me, the dwarf.
Yeah. So picture yourself just running along, laughing, smiling. But then you run into a lady. She's got gray hair. And all of a sudden you see her dead. Just flash back real quick. Now she's dead, naked in the bush. How does that make you feel, Frank? And then he responded, "Happy. It made me feel happy." But then he jumps up and says, "Wait, this is a bunch of bullshit. I didn't do nothing." He says that. "I didn't do nothing." Now we're going on 8 hours of being in this locked up chamber. Okay. Now, when he was recalling that graceful evening, jumping on railroad tracks, the detectives tell him, "You failed your polygraph test, Frank. You failed, you did it. We know you did it. We all want to go home. You need to just sit down. I'm going to start this recorder, and you're going to tell us how it happened." So he starts the recorder, and I'm going to show you the video, but he makes a 20-minute confession about killing Viola Manville.
Wow. 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
That's quite detailed.
In a very monotoned, very suggestive state. "Frank, did you shoot her with a BB gun?" Yes. I killed her. I'll show you the video, but
Interesting.
Wow.
now one of the things that was used in court against Frank is he knew what apparently, now I'll put a little asterisk by this, because apparently, according to the detectives, Frank knew in that imagination relaxation technique, he knew what color raincoat she was wearing, like a sports walker raincoat. It was a purple. Mm-hmm. He knew that. But then again, it's a small town. Everyone's probably seen her in that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But that wasn't public knowledge. So they used that against him in court.
True. I mean, especially since he lived 100 yards from the railroad track.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have been looking out his window one day and seeing her wear that, and
Yeah.
All right. Now, at 5:22, he made that 20-minute statement. And at slow, defeated monotone, he agrees to every detail the detectives fed him. On September 29th, 1992, Frank Sterling He pleads not guilty, and he recanted his confession. But he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Now, the judge, now this is from the Democrat and Chronicle from December 24th, 1992. The judge says, quote, "You are a paradox. You lost complete control and exploded and committed a heinous act." And then Sterling looks at the judge and says, "I'm innocent."
Do you guys believe in hypnosis?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I can't be hypnotized. We had a hypnotist come a few times at my school during undergrad, and he would always, it was the same guy, and he was like an R-rated or X-rated whatever hypnotist. He was really funny, but he would have everyone like try to relax and fall asleep, and people would go up on the stage and they would participate, and I just couldn't. I just never really responded to it. Not intentionally, I just didn't.
I wouldn't want to attempt to be hypnotized. I mean, I definitely think that people can be. I just don't want to put myself in that
position.
See,
I agree, but at the same time, I kind of want to.
Curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get that.
I wonder what I would do, because he had them doing some funny shit.
I'm sure.
I think for me it goes back to, although I'm curious, I think it goes back to me not having a sense of control of myself. Like when I get, you know how sometimes drunk Jen comes out. It's like actual sober Jen doesn't love it, because I feel like not in control. I don't like it of my body. You know what I mean? Of myself.
Best as you can remember, and I know this is difficult for you. Okay. Did something happen with that BB gun?
Yeah, I started hitting with it.
What else happened?
Fired shots.
It's weird how much they're touching him.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely no, especially today.
Well, first, I mean, it depends. I think they would first have to get his consent.
No,
they
you just
don't.
don't touch. You
They
just
don't.
touch people.
Detectives, what I've learned is they could do a lot to get a confession. A lot. So let's talk about this crazy-ass hypnotic technique. From the Democrat and Chronicle, a friend of Sterling, Sharon Brock, she comes out the bat. She claims that she actually taught a very similar relaxation exercise to Frank Sterling when he was stressed, and eventually he got so good at it that he could imagine himself in different places and different settings and different climates and do about anything. Quote, he got to be very good at it. Now, hypnotic susceptibility from Wikipedia measures how easily a person can be hypnotized. Now, I want to say there are two scales used for the efficacy of hypnotism. One is the Harvard Group Scale of Hypnotic Susceptibility, the HGSS. This is for large groups of people. If you want to hypnotize a lot of people and make them run around like chickens, they would use the Harvard Group Scale. Now, the scales are basically telling you, on a 1 to 10, how easy it would be for you to go under hypnosis. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, well, so first off, Jen, you said you were easy to go under hypnosis?
No.
No, I don't think I am.
All right. Nicole, are you easy?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
Can we take a quiz?
Yes or no?
I'm going to say middle of the road.
Okay. Before I even researched this, I always thought that I was pretty well at being hypnotized.
Like you were susceptible?
Susceptible, yeah. I'm very high in the range of being hypnotized. Oh, and I'd never been hypnotized, but I always kind of thought I would, because I was into the lucid dreaming and stuff.
Oh, I love the idea of lucid dreaming.
Well, no, I've actually had lucid dreaming.
Yeah, you told me about that.
I've had 2 lucid dreams. They're better than...
Like one where you've left your
orgasm.
body, or the ones where you can control your dreams?
No, I've never had an astral projection. And in fact, I don't even know if astral projections are real.
I feel like I'm afraid to do astral projection because I don't want like any evil spirits to be like watching me or whatever.
Well, all right. So I finished that. I just read that Carl Sagan book, and he claims that astral projection is bogus. But I don't know. I don't know because
Carl Sagan, like the guy that wears the crazy suits.
What? No, that's the guy with the question marks. That's that. Never mind. Anyway, I had 2 lucid dreams in my life. Both of them are amazing. The thing about lucid dreaming is, okay, you can fly, right? But it's a lot harder than that. If you have a lucid dream, you're probably not just going to be able to get and fly around the universe. You may, but the only limit, because there's no limits in a dream, right? There is, though. The only limit is if you think, I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you're in a dream and then you're flying and then you're like, wait, no, I can't fly. You're not going to be able to fly. Does that make sense?
Right. You have to be, you're like semi-conscious.
Well, no, you are conscious, but you're also unconscious.
You can't think that you're in a dream.
No, you know you're in a dream.
you're in a dream.
A lucid dream, you're in a dream.
I've lucid dreamed, and I could sit here and talk about dreams for another 3.5 hours. I think dreams are one of the most fascinating things in the entire world, and if I had the opportunity, I would have written my thesis on it, but I was not allowed to.
There's also a scale, the Stanford Hypnotic Susceptibility Scale, SHSH. This is SHSS. This is for individuals. But both the scales are pretty self-explanatory. They just measure how well you can be hypnotized. It is really widely argued that no person can be hypnotized if they do not want to be hypnotized, if they just are very adamant about not being hypnotized. And these people obviously scored low on both of these susceptibility scales.
I thought you were going to say, and these people suck.
Highly susceptible individuals are usually considered, quote, fantasizers outside of hypnosis and exhibit the following. Number 1, they fantasize much of the time. Number 2, they report their imagery as vivid and real perceptions. Now, keep in mind, these are people that are highly susceptible. So if you got any of these 6 ingredients in you, then you are highly susceptible. Number 1, you fantasize most of the time. Number 2, you report your imagery and dreams as very vivid and real perceptions. This is what I told y'all. Number 3, having an earlier than average age for first childhood memory. Number 4, recalling imaginary playmates from childhood, right?
True.
Like, not like I see dead people, but actually playmates, And number 5, the final, I know I said 6, but I misspoke. Number 5, having grown up with parents who encourage imaginative play. Those are the 5 things. If you have any one of those, you are highly susceptible.
Any one of those or a combination of a certain amount?
If you have all of those, well, it depends. If you have like 3 of them, your score is higher than if you have 2 of them. It is all based on a scale.
Oh, right.
But if you have all 5 of those, then you are probably hypnotized right now and you shouldn't be driving a car. Dr. Herman Spiegel from Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons claimed that Frank Sterling likely wasn't hypnotized. And, quote, if Sterling's concentration style is regarded as hypnotic compliance, then many others could commit antisocial acts, confess to the acts, then claim exoneration under the umbrella of misunderstood hypnosis. So he didn't agree with them. Now, Frank Sterling is in jail. Let's
Still
all be
today?
happy. Not today, no. Now, let's go to the second case. On May 23rd, which was a Monday, this is a very sad case and one that we're going to be hearing a lot from Grace. This is about 3 years later. A 4-year-old named Callie Ann Poulton. A lot of people say her name is Kaylee. I may say Callie just because that's the way it looks, and I'm not really good at names. But her name is probably Kaylee, Kali. Callie Ann Poulton goes missing in a span of 5 minutes. Okay, she was out in front of her mother's townhome at Gleason Estate. She was riding her bicycle with training wheels. She just started learning how to ride the bike. She was riding with training wheels. She was wobbling all over the place. She decided to stop and go back inside to get her big wheel, the actual tricycle, to train more on that. Now, her mother, a legal secretary, had picked Callie up from daycare after her work shift. Callie went outside to play with a friend. The moms chatted. Like always, the mother goes inside to start cleaning up, does what she does. But the whole time, she's peering out of the front of this townhome window in her kitchen. She's looking at Callie. She never takes her eyes off of her, only for a few seconds. Callie comes in to get their big wheel, and the mother says, don't go for too long. I mean, she's just out in front. Don't play for too much longer because in 5 to 10 minutes, I'm taking you to McDonald's. And she was, yeah, okay. Quote from her mother, I told her we were leaving in 5 to 10 minutes. She said, okay, as she always does. That was the last time I've ever talked to her. After that, Callie was gone without a trace, vanished completely off the face of the earth. Both parents, and I'm sorry, if I sound like I'm rushing, I'm trying to get to bed and got to wake up at 5. Both parents actually took a polygraph test and passed it, but the cops kept questioning the father. Now, this case bridges into the last one, so I'm not just throwing another case at you.
Mm-hmm.
This bridges in.
Is the father the 16-year-old from the last case?
That'd make a very good Netflix series, but no. The cops kept questioning the father. They actually gave him 7 different voice analyzers, and he failed every one of them. All right. Now, before, they were really suspicious of the father because about little under 2 months ago, he actually left the family, moved out, but he still remained in contact with his daughter. Mm-hmm. Now, this is from the father. Quote, we went to the Discovery Zone. She played so hard. I took Callie home at 8:30 that night.
I love the Discovery Zone.
As we pulled away, Judy was holding Callie. Judy's the mother. And Callie blew me a kiss goodbye and said, Daddy, I love you. Mm. Now, that was from the Democrat and Chronicle, 11 August, 1996, in case you want to go look it up.
You also saw her parents on TV, and it was really sad. They, unfortunately, her father was sobbing, and you could feel nothing but your heart breaking for this family.
Volunteers handed out 500,000 copies initially. Within the first few weeks, this was a big story. If you, like Grace says, if you lived in Rochester, you know this story.
Yeah.
You know that everyone knows this story. This is a big story.
If you lived in Western New York in the summer of 1994, you knew about Kaylee. Like, her missing poster was everywhere, from businesses and street poles to rest stops on the interstate up here. And there was also a billboard with the same picture from the posters on one of our expressways.
In fact, I found a newspaper article from 1995. Put yourself back to 1995. It said, Callie and Poulton was one of the first missing children cases to hit the World Wide Web. And then the article explained kind of what the internet was. I was like, wow, this is like such a time warp. And I actually tried to go to the webpage, but it's like one of those Angel Fire web, straight HTML websites, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of cool that not cool. Well, it's cool because the family was using every avenue they could. Truck drivers banded together. They hand-delivered flyers across everywhere they would stop. Flyers were stuffed in bills, like your electric bill had a flyer in it. They actually stapled these missing flyers to airline tickets for people traveling on airplanes. They really wanted to find her, which is great. Unfortunately, it didn't work.
It stuck with me probably because I was a teenager and because of Tidge and that being asked to help search for her the night she went missing kind of made it even more personal, I guess. Searching for a missing child, dark out, and you're being told, to look in things and under things is kind of creepy. Because, we all wanted her to be found alive someplace, not, you don't want to think about that.
All right. Now, Callie sightings were obviously reported everywhere, but nothing turned out. After 27 months of being missing, a woman called into the police. My name is Michelle Christie. Okay? I'm a newlywed wife of 4 weeks to a guy named Mark Christie. Does that name sound familiar? Mm-hmm. He's our other suspect. We got in a huge argument. They've been married 4 weeks, and he bragged about killing 4-year-old Callie Ann Poulton to me in gruesome details. She calls that in to her 4 year her 4-week husband.
So about her husband of 4 weeks.
She called in about her husband of 4 weeks.
When he eventually confessed to his brand new wife of 3 weeks, which that I can't even imagine being a newlywed and having your spouse tell you that he's supposed to confess to his father and a coworker as well.
The detectives went back to the school and they did something they should have fucking did before they put old Frankie boy in the box. They actually went to the attendance records instead of trusting some security guard that probably got his facts wrong, and they looked at the attendance records of Mark Christie, and sure as hell enough, he skipped school that morning and he didn't come into 12. He fucking did it.
It was over 2 years after she went missing that the truth finally was revealed, and it was just very, very sad around here. Everyone, parents went crazy because they were afraid they would be targeted. The kids were, of course, pulled in even tighter than you normally would.
He did it. Now you got Frank.
Weird Emma.
Frank has been in prison. By the time Frank gets out of prison, he had spent 18 years of his life as a wrongfully accused individual, actually a part of the Innocent Project. His story's on the innocentproject.org. Individual that has served time. And Frank, I've seen interviews of him. He is not a vengeful or he doesn't hold grudges. So even after all this, it's not like he's like, he was humble. I mean, he's obviously grateful to be out. It's shitty what happened. He didn't do nothing that day, He's innocent, completely, 100%. And I'm going to prove it here in a second on Talk Murder Me podcast. The detectives, they get Mark Christie to agree to come to a dinner and talk about the case. He confesses to the detective that he killed Callie, and then he actually took them to her body.
In the pretrial, his lawyer challenged his confession to the investigator because the investigator took him to a restaurant and was talking to him there. And apparently at the same time, a lawyer was trying to reach him at the sheriff's department. The court only allowed the statements that he made after he arrived at the sheriff's department, which a lot of people, weren't quite happy with.
Mark Christie at the time was a security guard working at the Nortel building at 175 Humboldt Street in Rochester, where he was a security guard. And the body of Callie, 4 years old when she died, her cause of death was literature strangulation. Obviously, it was a lot more. I'm not getting into it. Use your imagination. She was weighted down. The body was weighted down in a 30,000-gallon cooling tank. The body was still there. And it was so well preserved because of the coolant they used. The body was so well preserved that they could see everything,
Wow.
And there was no decomposition. They had to drain the tank to get her out. It was a very sad story.
It reminds me of Chris Watts.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly. It reminded me of Chris Watts, too. Scott Christie, which is the brother of Mark Christie, actually suspected his brother the whole time. Quote, if he had killed her, he would have buried her 20 feet under or along a shoreline. And then he recalls how he refused to allow anyone to enter his apartment during the search. He lived in this same apartment complex, not even 100 yards away. And after all the cops were searching, now he was 18 at the time. Yeah, about 18, 19 at the time, because this is 3 years after the Viola one. The cops were searching. They came to his door, knock, knock, knock. Can I come in? No, I don't want you to. If they would have just connected the damn dots, well, no, if they would have just went and saw the damn attendance record prior, instead of trying to put this innocent man in jail, and of course, hindsight's 20/20, this other murder would not have ever happened because he had been in prison.
And one wonders, because that happened in 1988, if Christie had been caught for that, then Kayleigh would have never been his victim, which is really sad.
It's so random how he goes from someone a 74 to 4.
Yeah, it is very random. Now, the mother, Judy Gifford, Callie's mother, remembers Mark Christie in a very eerie way. In fact, he kept coming up to her and saying things like, out of all the girls that play around here, yours is by far the most attractive. Yours is the most prettiest.
That's weird.
Oh, no.
Yeah. In fact, she comments, quote, he would comment again and again. He would tell me she was the most attractive girl here. It made me very uncomfortable, and I didn't want to be around him. Neighbors actually recalled that Mark Christie was evicted a few days after the Callie disappearance because of complaints that he had exposed himself to small children.
Oh, my
A few days after she goes missing. Why didn't you think that was suspicious?
Right.
Yeah, he would be number one on my list, actually.
He did get evicted from the housing complex before anyone knew that he was the one that took her and murdered her. A few weeks after she went missing, because there were moms in the area saying that they saw him exposing himself to their kids. So, I mean, he was just a scumbag.
I just can't believe how, it's just such a weird connection. And it makes me think, because going from such a swing in age from 70 to 4 is just, it's so inconsistent. It almost makes me wonder if there are others that he murdered.
No, let me show you a picture of Mark Christie. This guy apparently is a very evil person. And you can see the evil. I'm gonna show you a picture. One of the pictures I found after he was sentenced, you can see how evil he is just from the way he looks.
Oh, no.
That's him.
Yeah.
How evil does that guy look?
Oh, he is bad.
Yeah, he
He's a
looks
bad
like
man.
he's a bad man. He looks like it. That guy looks fucking evil, man.
Like, there's such thing as resting bitch face, but he is evil.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
you can
fucking
tell.
scary looking at
Look
that
at the
picture.
way his eyebrows are like.
It's just like, I want to fucking kill everyone. I mean, and here's old poor Frank, like, oh. Now, Frank, yeah, poor Frank, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I
He
want to
did
say,
not hit
Sorry, Frank.
the
they
looks lottery.
They need to rewrite the damn rules on interrogation because there's
For
way
real.
too many people getting arrested. I don't know why.
Brandon Dassey, like this
Yeah.
guy, but honestly, how can you?
That's what everyone said. I know what you're going to say. How could you confess?
No.
It's some psychology thing. No one can figure it out yet.
Not how can you confess?
Oh.
How can you accept a confession where the person is not in
He's
100%?
incoherent.
Yeah,
Completely.
thank you.
He
That's
was
the word I'm
he was
looking for.
awake for 40 hours straight.
Yeah, but
Not
he
just that,
still
but
said
he's
he
under,
did it.
But he's under the guise of hypnosis. Like, how is that illegal?
Well, it's what
Because he still
Karina
says he
had
did
said
it.
it once when we were talking about, like, it's really up to the lawyer to show that we were talking about if someone's under the influence of alcohol or drugs
Yeah.
when they confess. It's up to the lawyer to do a good job to say, like, to get that confession thrown out or to cast shadow of a doubt upon it. And
Yeah.
like, it's really unfortunate that they didn't do it and that's probably because they didn't present an adequate backup, a different suspect to really point to.
But not
because,
just-
like, they could have with this guy because
Yeah.
the other guy was a suspect, but they didn't follow through with that.
Right, but not just that. They didn't present it as he was hypnotized and then he confessed. It was, let's do this relaxation technique. And then he did that. But he clearly was not in a coherent state, you know?
But I think it's because we know about like Brandy Dassey and all this stuff. But I mean, the jurors, think about it. I mean, he said he did it. Like, I don't know what
But
to do.
even after
I mean,
even after he agreed that he did it, he said that he didn't do it.
yeah, but the
I will,
videotape, it's
benefit
like,
of the doubt to the jury, they did have other factors.
That's true.
It wasn't
It's-
just confession. He lived
yeah,
100 yards away
that's
from the crime
true.
scene. The whole brother thing, like, that's.
but the
pretty
whole
weird.
cornerstone of the case was that confession tape.
I'm not.
Like, that
I'm
was
just
it.
playing
There's
devil's
no-
advocate that there were
we're-
other
you're right, though.
factors
You're
that.
right.
I did forget to mention though, DNA was actually found on Viola, genetic engineering DNA, and I'm not really well versed in how that works, but it was a new technology that came to age, and actually the judge, for some reason, beknownst to me, denied Frank Sterling's defense team to order that testing. And the defense team had to go in their own pockets and pay for the testing and actually go and get Mark Christie to agree to swab his DNA. I don't know how they did it. But then after that, because Frank spent another 8 years in jail, so he was in jail for 18 years with this.
Well, I'm glad Robert Sterling is free now. And
Frank Sterling.
Did I say Robert?
Yeah, that's his brother, right?
Glenn is his brother.
Whatever.
I have no idea.
Thank you for covering my case as a case that I submitted. And I love you guys. Bye.
Thank you,
Aw,
Grace.
thanks, Grace.
We love you too. This was a crazy episode.
If you really enjoyed this episode and want to hear others like it, be sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcasting app you use. If you really like this episode, you can follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're absolutely obsessed with this podcast and want to become our stalker, go to talkmurder.com/join. Become a Talk Supremo. Get a badass t-shirt, sticker, swag, a lot of love. Shout it out all over the place. Tell me what story you want me to do. I'll research it and dedicate it to you every Thursday at Talk Murder to Me podcast. My name is John, here with Jen and Nicole. And until next time, good night, everyone.
Blah.
I don't have to say it.
Why? Because you're too cool?
No, because he's a man. And he has creative control.
Yeah.
And just in case you needed to be reminded.
No, I didn't. I get reminded plenty.
He likes to hear it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a good time. And then all of a sudden, like, all of the seniors and upperclassmen, they're like, everyone shut the fuck up. Like, shut up. Everyone quiet. Shh. Because, you know, there was a whole lot of underclassmen there because they saw that they're... So then this police officer comes in and he was like starting to ID people or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is not okay. This is not okay. Like, what's going to happen? I was like, well, I'm not drinking, so I guess I'll be fine, right?
At least his act was convincing.
Wait, you couldn't tell he was a stripper?
I was naive. I was
literally, he
18.
comes in with like short shorts and like the big sunglasses.
She didn't notice that the pants
like
were
Lieutenant
Velcroed
Dangle.
on.
What's his name? Lieutenant Dangle.
I don't know, but he wasn't wearing shorts, number one.
If I was a cop, I would also be a stripper because I could just leave straight from work in my uniform, and hit that double shift.
Baba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full.
So we've been watching The Wire. So my
wanna
terminology
watch
is
it.
probably going to change.
It's good.
So just to give you a few words that might change, instead of, he just murdered that victim, I may say like, he just caught a body, which catching a body, if you catch a body, that's like killing someone.
Oh, kind of like fishing, how you catch fish?
I can't, no, I think it's either killing someone or being around someone that has been killed, but you caught it. Well, not physically. And then, all right, if someone dies, if I'm like, and then she died, I may say she got, she got, gotten, she, or whatever.
She been had?
No, not had. She got.